everyone, and welcome back into another episode of Sports Talk Chicago. Happy Saturday, Chicago. Right here on WLS AM 890. I am Joey Christopoulos. I hope you're having a wonderful weekend, and I'm hoping that you get your rest because come Monday night, the Chicago Bears will be back on the field playing football as we get ready for 17 games. The gauntlet is back. And I'm going to dive into a lot of different things in today's episode. In the second half, I will preview the Chicago Bears Week 1 matchup on Monday Night Football against the Minnesota Vikings. I'm going to get into some superlatives, my X factors, my MVPs. But let's start first with my overall thoughts about this team and, of course, the Bears win-loss schedule. My prediction, putting it down, not just on paper, into cement. And I put myself out there so you can make fun of me later if I'm wrong or if I'm right. I don't really care. General thoughts about the Chicago Bears are that there is talent on this team. There's no mistaking that. And I am a person that began the offseason a little lukewarm on the idea of Ben Johnson coming over. And I was worried about an offensive coordinator becoming a head coach for the first time, and some of the pitfalls and some of the frustrating growing pains that sometimes comes along with that. But as the summer has gone along into training camp, I've begun to become a Ben Johnson fan. And one of the most fascinating aspects that I want to check out, that I'm looking forward to seeing, is that if Ben Johnson is the real deal or not. The Chicago Bears are not winning the Super Bowl this year. It would be great if the Chicago Bears could make the playoffs because, heck, it would be the first time that they've made it in the 4 years since Ryan Poles became general manager, and the first time since 2020. I would greatly enjoy that. But I think what I really want to focus in on and drill in on is number one, top of the charts. And it's not the quarterback. It's the head coach. Is the head coach the guy who's going to be at the helm? Is he the mastermind that is hopefully going to take the Chicago Bears to great heights over the next 3, 4, 5 years? If he is who we think he is, to quote Denny Green, if he is truly that offensive guru, if he really is that type of offensive mind that is going to bring the Chicago Bears offense finally into the 21st century after languishing the last 25 years, I have less concerns about the quarterback. I have less concerns about whether the Chicago Bears can win with Caleb Williams or maybe somebody else further down the line. We don't know. But if they get Ben Johnson right, and if Ben Johnson is the next great head coach in the NFL, the future is bright for the Chicago Bears. The second one, obviously, that I want to see is our quarterback, the second-year quarterback, Caleb Williams. What kind of improvements has he been able to make in the offseason? What has he learned and what has he picked up from Ben Johnson's offense? How do they work together? How much can Ben Johnson put onto Caleb Williams' plate? And can he go out there on the field and execute and be a successful above-average quarterback? Entering the year right now, I would probably put Caleb Williams, unfortunately, definitely not in the top 12, maybe somewhere in the top 15 or top 20 quarterbacks right now. And I'm not alone. There's a lot of executives and a lot of reporters that have done plenty of surveys in the offseason about where our quarterback stands in the hierarchy of the NFL. If Ben Johnson can somehow, at least by the end of this year, get Caleb Williams in a position to be a top 12, maybe knocking on the door of a top 10 quarterback heading into his third year, watch out and get excited, Bears fans. If he's stagnant, if he stays in the same place 15 to 20, not really ready to bury the kid. And I'm going to go into more detail on Caleb Williams a little bit later in this episode. But the only thing that we can't have is to have this franchise go backwards right now. And trust me, Matt Eberflus was going backwards and then falling down the stairs, a flight of stairs behind you. If anything, we need to move the ball forward somehow this year. And that's going to come down to Ben Johnson, the head coach, and that's going to come down to the quarterback. So let's get into it here. I did it a little bit earlier in the year. Thank you for tuning in if you listened to that episode. But we're going to do win-loss predictions right now for the Chicago Bears. We're going to go through the schedule game by game, and I'm going to tell you whether I think the Chicago Bears win or lose, and then I'm going to land on a number at the end of the year. And I will say no spoilers, no teasers. Chicago Bears are going to improve this year. But now the question is, how much are they going to be able to improve in just 1 year after what Shane Waldron and Matt Eberflus did to some of these players last year in the locker room for the Chicago Bears? Okay, here we go. Let's start with week 1, and I don't want to spoil my keys to a victory here, but I'm going with a win for the Chicago Bears against the Minnesota Vikings on Monday Night Football. The table is set. Ben Johnson, first time with the headset on as a head coach in the NFL. He's going to be in Soldier Field on Monday night. As of right now, we got a little bit of rain this weekend. Hopefully it all clears out. We're looking at perfect weather from Monday Night Football. It is a great situation for the Chicago Bears to get off to a fantastic early start against a rookie quarterback. And Ben Johnson gets an opportunity to go up against a defensive coordinator that he's had great success with throughout his previous career, with the Detroit Lions. And the Chicago Bears can get off on the right foot here and pick up a win in week 1. So I got the Chicago Bears going 1-0 after Monday Night Football. And hopefully that means that the episode that you'll be listening of Sports Talk Chicago here on WLSAM 890 will be a happy one. Heading into week 2, though, they got to travel to Detroit, and Ben Johnson already has to play his former team. And as much as I want to believe that Ben Johnson can read the mail of Dan Campbell at this point, and he's going to be ready and prepared for this matchup, I think early on in the season, this early in the year, I have this marked down as a loss at this time. As much as I have the false confidence that the Chicago Bears are going to come out and play great football in week 1, I don't think they're going to be a finished product right out of the gate. I think the Detroit Lions still have a lot of talent on their team. And maybe at some point this year, some of the coaching losses that they've had will catch up to them over the course of a long season. But in week 2, this early on, I think they're going to be riding a lot on the muscle memory of what they've accrued over the last 3 years. And I just think it's a tough spot for the Bears to go in and win. And that place is going to be rocking. So I got the Bears losing week 2 and going to 1-1. Now the next month gets really interesting. Week 3 at home versus Matt Eberflus's defense, the Dallas Cowboys. Of course, Dak Prescott's on the team, CeeDee Lamb, George Pickens. They have some talented players on the team. This is a 3:25 start right in the middle of September. This is going to be one of the best days of the year in Chicago, in my opinion. I think if the weather is great and it checks out, an afternoon Bears game in September, crisp weather, maybe bringing out your Bears sweatshirt for the first time. Personally, I'm definitely going to be at a tailgate that day. I got the Chicago Bears winning this game. I don't like Dallas as a team this year. I think that they are going to have a good offense. They'll be competitive in games. I just don't know if they had that je ne sais quoi with Brian Schottenheimer, their new head coach, and dealing with the residue still of the Micah Parsons trade, the fallout from it. I'm not saying that it's going to affect their entire season, but it could affect them the first month of the year. Just dealing with the residue of the questions, the surprise, the uncertainty. Now the certainty that he won't be on the team. I'm going with the win for the Chicago Bears. They moved to 2-1. And honestly, I think this could be a game where Caleb plays great. The offense is really good. And we start to get that enthusiasm, get a little bit of that mojo moving, start feeling good about ourselves. 2-1, heading to Vegas to play the Raiders. At first glance, you're saying to yourself, well, the Raiders got a lot better. At quarterback, they got Geno Smith. They drafted Ashton Genty. Pete Carroll, legitimate head coach. They might have a little bit of their own first month bump, the same way that the Bears and Ben Johnson might, feeling pretty good about themselves, and the game will be at home. I do like the fact that there probably will be a lot of Bears fans at this game. And I'm going with the win for the Chicago Bears at the Raiders. I know that they've made improvements. And for the most part, I mean, they played Geno Smith really hard in Seattle last year. They're going to have to account for Brock Bowers, but this seems like a very even matchup to me. And honestly, when you look at this schedule, the schedule is really tough. There aren't a lot of wins on my schedule when it comes to the Chicago Bears on the road. I think this is one of the rare instances this season where the Chicago Bears come in, take care of business, and pick up a win. They move to 3-1 heading into the bye week. Kick your heels up and start making your Super Bowl plans. Just wait. Coming off the bye, the NFL, what are you doing to us? You're doing the same thing to us again. After a bye, we're feeling so good about ourselves. We're coming back from a foreign land. Last year it was London. This year it's Vegas, still very foreign land. Come off the bye, refreshed, ready to roll, and we have to go to Washington to play the Commanders. And no two teams are the same. There's a new head coach, whole new regime, whole new coaching staff, a lot of the same players. And as of right now, I'm just calling that a loss. That one is a very interesting matchup for me because a big theme for me this season, and just as a Bears fan in general, as much as I want to be excited about Caleb Williams, as much as I want to be excited about Ben Johnson and some of the offensive weapons that not only they've drafted, but year 2 of Rome Odunze, I am in show me mode as a Bears fan. Show me, don't tell me. All offseason, we've been told that things are different. Things are going to be better. And I'll be honest with you, the words coming out of Ben Johnson's mouth, I like what I'm hearing and I'm getting excited, but this is a show me season for the Chicago Bears. Don't tell me. Show me that you're a winning team. Show me that you can win this matchup against the Commanders in Washington. A matchup that last year, to be very fair, they had won in their back pocket. As poorly as they played offensively, they were able to get it done, and they should have had a victory in that game. It slipped through their fingers for reasons that we all remember, and I don't want to bring up right now. But until that game happens and they win, that is a loss for me. And I will tell you that if they win that game and they move to, let's say, 4-1 in this hypothetical scenario, if they beat the Commanders in that game and they move 4-1, my win-loss prediction is about to get blown up because that means I think that the Chicago Bears could possibly be legit this year. And that team that sometimes when you change that coach, you bring in a whole new set of staff and voices. Sometimes it takes talent to another level and they surprise some people. And next thing you know, wow, double-digit wins for the Chicago Bears. This is one of those matchups that the Chicago Bears can win that game. That's a show-me game right there. And that's the first step towards me becoming a believer. Until then, healthy skepticism. So they lose that game. They move to 3-2. The very next week, they take on the Saints at home. I'm not going to belabor this one. I got this one as a win for the Chicago Bears. The New Orleans Saints are most likely, between them and the Cleveland Browns, also on the Bears schedule, have a driving, not just outside chance, a driver's seat chance at being one of the worst teams in the NFL. That is a must-win. The Chicago Bears should be able to win that one easily and move to 4-2. Then things get rough, in my opinion. The road schedule for the Bears is incredibly tough this year, which is in many ways good for Caleb Williams because I think we're going to learn a lot, not just about this Bears team, but the way that Caleb responds to adversity and the way that he responds to adversity and maybe some difficulty with Ben Johnson as the head coach. They head to Baltimore to take on the Ravens. I got that one down as a loss. The Baltimore Ravens are 5-6 years ahead of the plan of maybe where the Chicago Bears would one day want to be. And then they travel the very next week. They stay in the AFC North, but they go to Cincinnati and they take on the Cincinnati Bengals. I got that one down as a loss too as well. The big reason for that is, again, game on the road, back-to-back. Another big reason is I have some doubts about the Chicago Bears defense this year. And I like our secondary. Our secondary needs to stay healthy. I don't like our defensive line at all. I think it's a position that was punted on for the year, very similar to the way that Ryan Poles punted on offensive line in years past. It's something about him in the trenches where this front office believes that they can outsmart the room. And unfortunately keeps biting them in the butt every single year, and they continue to think that they can find value in other areas other than trying to pay for top-shelf talent. Is Montez Sweat top-shelf talent? Or is he just B-plus talent? Does he need a running mate? Is he a 1A type of guy, or is he more of a 2A type of guy? We're going to find out. The Bengals have a great offense, and I just don't see them, the Chicago Bears, being able to hold on and stick around with the Bengals in this game. So I got them losing that game. So check your scorecards. The Chicago Bears are suddenly 4-4. They come home to play the Giants. And at some point on this schedule, things in the NFL don't always work out the way that you want them to. So as much as I had, maybe the Chicago Bears surprising and winning on the road against the Raiders, I actually have them losing to the Giants at home and moving to 4-5 on the season. And 3 in a row. Really tough. If you ask me for reasons why, clearly I don't really like the quarterback situation with the New York Giants, but they do have a nice, sneaky, possible 1-2 punch in the running back room. They also have a fantastic defensive line. And the Chicago Bears offensive line is going to be tested mightily. And not only that, too, but Caleb Williams and the processing issues and the holding the ball too long rumors, something that both quarterbacks, Mitch and Justin, had problems with. We're still hearing that about a current quarterback that we have, number 18. If he holds on to the ball too long against the New York Giants, the Chicago Bears are going to lose. So I have them losing that game. I have them losing at Minnesota. I have them splitting with the Minnesota Vikings this year. So I got them losing 4 in a row. 5 out of 6. And do not ask me how my emotional state is going to be for those shows when that happens. But sweeping the Vikings, we'll see how it goes. But as at this point right now, I just don't trust it. So I have them losing. I have them losing and going to 4-6. It's look in the mirror time for the Chicago Bears. They come home, they play the Steelers, and just on the sole fact that if we believe in anything about balance in this universe, the Chicago Bears will beat Aaron Rodgers in a Pittsburgh Steelers uniform and get off the losing streak, and they might win big in this game. If anything about balance, karma, retribution, Aaron Rodgers has tortured us, and me specifically, so I'm going to get selfish for a second, for a better part of the last 20 years. He's at the end of his career. He wears the I own you belt. And of all the matchups right now, this one the Chicago Bears got to win. They got to win that game. They take down the Steelers at home, feel good for just a little bit, but au contraire. That very next week on Black Friday, right after Thanksgiving, they have to go to Philadelphia to play the Eagles. I have that as a loss. So I got the Chicago Bears at 5-7. Not looking great. 5-7 probably keeps you in the hunt playoff graphic. But things aren't exactly great. And these are probably going to be some tough losses. And we're going to get an opportunity to pass the hat around and blame the defensive line, maybe blame the head coach, maybe blame the running backs, and most likely definitely throw some shade at the quarterback. The week after they play the Eagles, they have to go into Green Bay and they have to beat the Packers in Green Bay. Look, they got off the schneid last year and the jinx is over. I had done it for the last 4 or 5 years. I hate the Packers, but I wouldn't pick the Packers to beat the Bears because, again, it was a bit of a show me. They finally did a show me and they beat them in the last game of the season. So I at least can get back to the world of normalcy and try and look at these matchups more objectively and see whether the Chicago Bears will win and lose. In this situation, I have them losing. I have them going to 5-8. Where does this land, Joey? How many wins do you have for the Chicago Bears? The very next week they come home, they play the Cleveland Browns. Again, a team that probably will be one of the worst, if not the worst team in the NFL. I got the Chicago Bears winning that game. The week after that, I have them playing the Green Bay Packers at home. I like the Chicago Bears to at least split with the NFC North this year. 1 win, 1 loss. So I have them beating the Packers in Chicago. And now all of a sudden they're 7-8. You beat the Packers, you go to 7-8. You're definitely in the hunt graphic. You're probably not in the final 2 slots of the wild card slots, but at least you're into it, and maybe we're talking about playoffs, and we're doing some scoreboard watching, and we're having fun. That very next week, they travel to San Francisco to play the 49ers. I don't know where the 49ers are personally going to be. Great matchup between Kyle Shanahan and Ben Johnson. The time of this game is a TBD, so they want to have it as an ability to flex if they want to. For whatever reason, when the Chicago Bears go to the Bay Area, they seem to have difficulty winning games. I go back all the way to some of the games that, Jay Cutler throwing, 5 interceptions, and then he lost something like 9-7, 10-7 his first year with the Bears in 2009. I go back to the game when all of a sudden Colin Kaepernick, this young player, was going to start for a Jim Harbaugh team, came out and absolutely ripped us apart. For whatever reason, the Chicago Bears have a hard time playing out in San Francisco, and I do believe San Francisco will be playing for playoff opportunities at that point, the same way the Chicago Bears will be. And again, show me, Chicago Bears. I'm not going to tell you here on WLS and do it for the Chicago Bears and tell you why I think they're going to be a good team. As a fan, I'm going to analyze each and every game, bring it to you right here every single Saturday from 8 to 9 as you're listening to Sports Talk Chicago, and I am Joey Christopoulos. But again, just making my schedule prediction and walking in and telling you that I think the Chicago Bears are going to win that particular game, I'm not going to do it. And in that case, they fall to 7-9. The interesting one is the last week of the season against the Lions. I have them winning that game. They officially go, in my opinion, are going to go 8-9. That is my prediction. 8 wins, 9 losses, a 3-game improvement from the year before, and hopefully some hard-fought losses in this game, in this season. And we can walk out of the year saying to ourselves, well, we didn't make the playoffs. A lot of things we have to correct. A lot of holes on our team. We're identifying weaknesses all over the place. But in year 2 of Ben Johnson, year 3 of Caleb Williams, we're putting ourselves in a position to rock and roll that following year. And if they can do that, then you got me back in the mode of, well, now I get the chance to tell you, and maybe I'll get ahead of my skis and say the Chicago Bears are going to win 12 games after that and win a playoff game and so on and so forth. If the Chicago Bears go to a playoff game this year, it will be because that Ben Johnson is a good head coach. It will be because Caleb Williams takes a step forward, and maybe we can begin to say to ourselves or convince ourselves that Ben Johnson and Caleb Williams is a marriage worth supporting and rooting for, not just for this year, but for many, many years to come. But with the way this team played last year, and I get it was the head coach, but a lot of this comes down to the players. A lot of the players are still on this team. Everyone says Ben Johnson. Ben Johnson came here because he chose Caleb Williams. He wanted to coach Caleb Williams. Well, he didn't get to choose every single person on the roster. Not this year. He inherited a lot of these players on this roster. So it's still some of the stuff that we could maybe expect to experience that we experienced last year still might happen with this team this year. And at 8-9, it could really feel 2 different ways. It could feel frustrating, or it could feel a bit galvanizing. I mean, I went through it. They lose 5 of 6 at one point. That's a tough stretch in the NFL. You can lose 5 of 6 in baseball and turn it around pretty quickly. The NFL, 5 of 6. 1 win in 6 weeks could feel a little dark. I hope that I'm wrong, but I will tell you this, and we're about to take a break here. I just want to walk in with healthy skepticism with my Chicago Bears this year. We've carried the water for this franchise for too long as fans. That we walk in, head held high, chest out, predicting 10, 11, 12 wins. This is what we're going to do. This is why player X is going to be great. This is why Coach Y is going to be awesome. And Matt Eberflus kind of broke me a little bit from that. Because it smelled bad from the second. And a lot of Bears fans out there try to convince themselves that everything was going to be okay. But you knew right away that it was never going to work. So don't feel like, root for your team. I want the Chicago Bears to win every game 70-0. But when you're at bars talking with your friends about, well, how's this going to go? What's this all going to look like? Don't feel like you have to carry the water for this franchise and do the whole Bears thing and say that they're automatically going to win 13 games. I want this team to show one of the greatest fan bases I personally have ever been a part of, and easily one of the best fan bases in the NFL. I want this team to show them why we should get delusional and crazy and go, da Bears, this season. They haven't quite earned the right. And at 8-9, that's where I'm landing right now. I'm landing right in the middle. And hopefully they prove me wrong.